Code is on the verge of becoming an Otsutsuki, and I don't think you guys understand how dangerous this really is. Because obviously, we have this narrative of Code being a loser, a bum. Obviously, nobody takes him seriously, because the last time he got a power-up, he ended up getting beat by Damon in the very next chapter. This has caused everybody to doubt Code. However, this next power-up that everybody clearly knows that Code is about to take is going to be one that will absolutely change his character. Because Ikemoto is finally going to be writing Code in a way that allows him to take his W. Code is about to go on his W arc. He had a crazy loss streak, but he never gave up, and that is going to be rewarded. Because I believe that Code is about to become an Otsutsuki, and the method is going to be quite clear, and one that is pretty understandable. We have to discuss a couple of things, but first let's start off with how exactly this is going to happen. Boruto is obviously planning on freeing Bug. He's going to do that by returning his Thorn Soul Bulb to Bug in his tree state. However, I believe that things are not going to work out in his favor, and Ikemoto showing us this claw mark of Code actually implanting there and having some sort of a plan, something that he is setting up for when Boruto ends up going there, leads me to believe that something is going to go wrong in Boruto's plan. And there are two ways I believe that this can take place. The first way is kind of obvious, one that involves Boruto going there and then Code ends up sneaking Boruto. That's a clear way in which Code can obtain the Thorn Soul Bulb. And there is a lot to say that this is going to be the case. The fact that Code's claw marks are in a very secret location, in a location where it's going to be very hard for Boruto to notice if he doesn't pay attention. Because at face value, Boruto will be going in there seeing Bug's face, but right behind that is where Code actually lies, so it's not an obvious location that Boruto is going to be able to tell. And since we know that the claw marks have nothing to do with chakra and thus cannot be absorbed, it is quite obvious that Boruto will not be able to detect that. And Code, who is simply going to be lying in the weights, we've seen that he's done that with multiple different characters. He's done that in the Senju dimension, where even Juro himself did not notice Code being there. The only person who did notice him was Ryu, due to the fact that he has the sensory ability. Juro did not, and thus he was not able to notice Code's presence, although he easily defeated him. The same case is going to be here with Boruto. When Boruto goes to that dimension, Code is going to be able to notice what is taking place without being detected, which leaves Boruto in a position where he can easily be caught off guard. So obviously, Code is not strong enough to be Boruto, but he is definitely going to be strong enough to be a Boruto that is off guard, or at least use that as an opportunity to take the Thorn Soul Bulb. But here comes option 2. Because there is some people who believe that Code is not going to try and take the Thorn Soul Bulb, due to the fact that he has some sort of a relationship with Bug himself, and Code doesn't seem like a naturally evil person. He is just a religious worshiper, so he's not actually going to try and take the Thorn Soul Bulb for himself. He's going to actually let Bug come back to life and then snatch Bug and take maybe the intel that he receives. The problem that I have with that is twofold. The first one is that Code hasn't actually shown us that this is actually the case. The relationship that Code has with Bug is not one of mutual respect. Bug doesn't like Code at all, but Code is consistently dragging Bug around, almost in a way of him not feeling lonely, in a way that he's not doing it by himself. He has always used Bug as a vehicle of getting more intel, which he has done and was able to figure out some of Damon's abilities. However, the other problem that we see take place and would negate that is the fact that Ikemoto is actually hinting towards something completely different. The fact that we could potentially see the Thorn Soul Bulb method implanting the Thorn Soul Bulb into the tree state that Bug is found in will not actually work. And that is due to the fact that Bug has run out of chakra, and thus Bug is already dead. We have seen this concept be talked about, the fact that the Thorn Soul Bulb can potentially rot, and the way it is tied is the fact that the person loses chakra. There is a cooldown that has been illustrated in chapter 12, I believe, where Jira has the thorn soul bulb of Hidari and thus has to go back to the dimension fast before the thorn soul bulb actually rots. There's that concept that has been made quite clear. But another concept is being made clear, the fact that the person who is in this tree state can die due to chakra loss, where the body has gone so long without chakra and basically ran out of it, leading to that person dying, which is the reason why a character like Moegi had to stay hospitalized due to the fact that she was running low on chakra and had to slowly build that when she was in the hospital, and thus she was still inactive even after being saved. Bug is not a ninja. He has not shown us any capabilities that prove to us that he can actually mold a huge amount of chakra, which means that the cooldown for him especially is going to be one that is a lot shorter than that of Mitsuri. Mitsuri, who is a ninja, already started to feel some of the negative effects of being in that tree state after being in it for less time than Bug himself. We know that a character like Sasuke was in that tree state for a lot longer than Moegi. But a character like Bug potentially was the first character to ever get bitten by one of the claw grimes, because Code explains to us that Bug accidentally got bit by one of the claw grimes, which likely means due to the fact that he was in close proximity to the claw grimes and doesn't have any way of fleeing from them due to being weak, he was the first one to actually get bitten, and thus the cooldown, the waiting period in which he could have been saved, has already been null and void, which means it is impossible for Bug to actually come back to life. So if people believe so much that Code is actually going to go and save Bug, let Bug be saved, there is a possibility that it will not work. And if it doesn't work at that point, Code is going to steal the thorn soul bulb in the moment in which Boruto is confused at why this does not work. And this proves why Boruto is so eager to bring Sasuke back. When he was first fighting versus Hidari, he disobeyed Kashin Koji's orders to flee because he knows of this cooldown, this waiting period that if missed, the person can never be brought back to life. Obviously, Sasuke is a different level of a shinobi, somebody who has huge chakra reserves, although we always see that he is out of chakra. But Sasuke, compared to a Bug or even a Moegi, the chakra reserves that he showcases is on a completely different level. So he is likely still alive, but a character like Bug, there is no way I can believe that he, being the first one to have gotten absorbed and turned into this tree, he is definitely not alive at this point. He is gone. And due to the fact that he is gone, there is no other use for his thorn soul bulb than to be absorbed. Now the question becomes, can somebody actually eat a thorn soul bulb? And the answer to me is quite obvious, and I'll give my reasoning. The reason why I believe that eating a thorn soul bulb is something that can allow you to gain powers and is possible just like a chakra fruit is because of what a chakra fruit actually is. The chakra fruit is the condensed genetic information of all living things in a planet that is absorbed using the divine tree. In this case, when we look at this definition and we even scrutinize it with the thorn soul bulb, you would see that it applies in the exact same way as the chakra fruits. The tree is Bug's body. Yours ends up leading towards this thorn soul bulb being created and then spawns the senju, known as Mamushi. The genetic information, although it's not the genetic information of all living beings in the planet, it is the genetic information, at least of Bug, and the mixture of the 10 tails, Code's karma, which comes from Ishiki's DNA, and also Shiba Otsutsuki's because of the claw marks that Code ended up using in its creation. And we have been told by Amato that the claw marks is a senjutsu coming from Shiba Otsutsuki himself. Thus, due to all those informations being condensed, we have the thorn soul bulb that is created. The thorn soul bulb doesn't look like a chakra fruit, it looks like one that is less ripe, due to the fact that it is now composed of all the genetic information of the entire planet. It is a smaller pool of that genetic information. But that genetic information is still that is quite powerful, due to all the various DNA that it contains, as I have already listed. And due to those criteria that we see in the chakra fruits being the same with the thorn soul bulb, it leads me down the conclusion that when Code ends up eating this thorn soul bulb, he will complete this Otsutsuki transformation that he has been waiting for. And that's where Code will begin his true mission. At the point where Code becomes an actual Otsutsuki is where I believe that Code will actually win. And that is the reason why Code hasn't been killed. And it is also the reason why I come to understand Ikemoto's decision not to turn Ida into a Senju, at least for now. The reason that is the case is due to the fact of Code's goals and motives. After Code ended up taking this massive L, the thing we end up seeing Code say is that he is going to become an Otsutsuki so that he can tell whether his love for Ida is real or not. Code will become an Otsutsuki after consuming the thorn soul bulb of Mamushi, and by doing so, he will tell whether he truly liked Ada or not, completing one of the goals that he set out to. Another one is to take down Kawaki, and since he now views Kawaki as Boruto, it aligns perfectly with the goal that Jura gave him to take care of Boruto. And it also aligns with the fact that Code wants to take down Kashin Koji, as he was one of those people that ended up leading towards the death of Ishiki Otsutsuki. So it solidifies the mission that he has received. And thus we will have Code that will become more Otsutsuki than he is human. And even if you believe that he is not going to become a full Otsutsuki, he at least will be immune to Ada's ability. Because there's something quite interesting that I noticed when examining the text of this arc a little bit further. The thing that I noticed is the fact that Mamushi calls Ada Big Sis. I don't know what the reason is at all, but it's so funny to see that also Mamushi says that and is immune to Ida's ability of charm. And the only people who are immune to Ida's ability or charm are those that are Otsutsukis or those that are family related. Mamushi could potentially feel this factor of being Otsutsuki related due to the fact that he has Shibai cells which originate from the way that he was born using the claw marks. And another factor is the fact that he calls Ada Big Sis, so he potentially is somehow related to Ada, which would either mean that Bug is also related to Ada in some way. That personally doesn't make the most sense to me, but it is what we're seeing in the writing here. Mamushi is legitimately calling Ada Big Sis. I don't know if it's a mistranslation or not, but we are potentially seeing both criteria met. It could be one or the other. I'm personally leaning towards the Otsutsuki route. Family member route that we're seeing being showcased through the text is also something that could be an explanation as to why Code would be immune to Ada's ability. And thus, he could really start on his mission. So my question to you is, why would you believe that Code isn't going to start taking W's if every single part of his writing, his mission that Ikemoto has laid out to us personally, starts when he becomes an Otsutsuki? And he's going to get crazy abilities. One, he's going to get more Shibai cells since Mamushi is composed of Shibai cells. 2, he's most likely going to get Mamushi's ability because that is the information that is stored in the thorn soul bulb, and we do know that when a character like Momoshiki ended up turning Kinshiki into a chakra fruit and ate Kinshiki, he obtained the abilities of Kinshiki and also obtained a dojutsu, so maybe that's how Code ends up getting another eye or ends up getting his body healed in a way. That's going to be something that is also interesting to see take place. But another key ability that he will get is chakra erasure. The fact that Mamushi was able to do that proves and points towards the fact that he has Otsutsuki DNA, because this is an Otsutsuki ability, and thus it would be granted to Code either through Mamushi himself or due to the fact that he is an Otsutsuki. And all these abilities will make up for all the losses that Code has taken. Okay, Code no longer has access to the holograms, but that doesn't matter now. He can simply multiply himself using Mamushi's ability and basically have another version of himself. And thus, he has a better version of the holograms that he would have access to. Oh, Code doesn't have an eye, and Code is missing a hand. But by eating the thorn soul bulb, he can regain that. He can transform his body similarly to how Momoshiki's body was transformed after he ate Kinshiki. And another limitation people may point out, oh, Ada's ability is going to work on him, so he's never going to be able to fight back. But now he is an Otsutsuki, so that doesn't work any longer. So what is actually limiting Code? Nothing. He's going to get stronger, faster, and he's going to have these broken abilities that go along everything that he missed. Plus, chakra erasure, plus the fact that he is not going to be harmed by any of the abilities that Ada has when it comes to the charm. It just makes a Code that is a lot stronger. And what is his mission? To take down Kashinkoji and Boruto to become even stronger using the chakra fruit that Jira will give him. So there is a lot that is being set up regarding Code right now, and it all points to the fact that he is going to start hitting on some of them goals. And I believe the first one he'll take down is Kashinkoji, and that's going to be key towards the future that we end up seeing take place. And this is why I feel like this arc personally is a setup arc, an arc that is setting up greater chaos to come. Code potentially getting stronger, belief that is politically divided. There is so much going wrong, and I believe that something else is going to be exposed very soon. And to figure out what that is and how that involves Kashinkoji, make sure to watch this video right here.